Before we can determine how a cigar is developed in terms of its flavor, we want to be able to understand where flavor comes from and how we perceive flavor. So, we're going to discuss the anatomy of taste. On the palate, you have different zones that taste different elements of flavor. For example, at the back of the palate, we have more sensitivity to bitter. In the mid palate, we have more sensitivity to amino acids, proteins, and fats. That's called umami. Toward the front of the palate, you move into sweet, and the sides of the tip of the tongue as well is salt. At the far sides of the tongue, you're going to have more sour or acid. So when we talk about perceived flavor on the palate, the entire palate is going to have taste buds that cover the palate that will all be sensitive to these elements. However, in these specific zones, we find that there's a higher intensity of sensitivity to those specific flavors. When it comes to identifying very specific flavors, for example, anise, chocolate, leather, that's going to be determined by your olfactory system, which is your sense of smell. Your sense of smell is going to pick up the majority, 80 to 90% of what your sense of taste is, because the particles will actually coat the olfactory nerves in the nasal cavity, and those nerves will send a signal to the brain, which then your brain will translate into a identifiable flavor. So our brains are only limited by what it's been exposed to. So oftentimes when people tell me I can't taste this or I can't taste that, or this is supposed to taste this way, but I don't have a good palate, it's not necessarily that your palate isn't good, because your palate only has 5 specific receptors that are able to taste 5 specific things. But your nasal cavity or your olfactory system is where the majority of the signal comes from. And your signal is going to be limited by your vocabulary and your experience of what your brain perceives as flavor.